The woods can be dense for our acts. The sea can be deep for our diving. Hope comes and stops us in our tracks. Bravely we prove in our striving, trudging together each day. Where there's a will, there's a way.
One more second here. Looks like we got people showing up. Oh, I need to tell. Unless that's Ingrid on. Ingrid, is that you? Even if it is, I'm sending you a message. So. All right. Let's get to work on this. Welcome. Welcome to the Daily Trudge. My name is Dion. Hi, Kathy. Good to see you. Am I allowed to use your name today? I'm just going to call you Barbara again. I guess a little late. But welcome to Daily Trudge. I'm Dion. Dion. I was named after Dion in the Belmonts. Dion Bonaducci, right? And he's in sobriety. He's in recovery. He just put out a new album. Kind of a bluesy album. Saw some interviews with him. He got kind of a big head. I mean, not literally, but in the sense that your dog and the cat were playing. I just haven't seen that before, right? So, anyway, I'm Dion. And of course, please say hello whether you're watching the live or the rewatch. Good. I'm glad it's doing better today, right? This too shall pass, kind of a thing. Sometimes we need to. Sometimes we're going through things and we just have to get in the mindset of this too shall pass, or, it is what it is, and I'm going to have to work with it the way that it is, right? Instead of fighting that it's not the way that it should be, and we just refuse not to do it. So, but I have to say, good job on being aware of where you're at and with what you're doing. So good job. Good job. Growing up. Who here grew up? Anybody else in the room ever grow up from like age 0 and got older every year? Anybody else in the room like that? That's just a stupid joke. Practicing being still. Yeah. Hey, Paula, good to see you. Good to see you, Paula. So he's laughing too hard. Okay, well, then I won't. I'll relax a little bit on the jokes. But, man, if we can have fun here and make fun of ourselves, then what's the point? Doesn't, it isn't that we don't take this seriously. We do. So this is the way I work. I take the program seriously, not me. No, just the program. I take the program seriously. Anything beyond that, not really. Everything else is what I call a grain of salt, good or bad or indifferent. So, but who else just didn't feel like they belonged growing up? And you can answer it or not. It's kind of a rhetorical question because I think we all did. Whether some of us sensed it or not, I don't know. I got blow the dose. Um, but growing up, because every story that I listen to, it's always about I didn't fit in here. I tried to fit in there. You know, and I remember. mm, So for me, um, I had some other things going on, and I didn't real. Yeah, I've been depressed all my life. I've had depression all my life. My mom was begged me from the time I was like 15 to get on depression meds, and I always refused um, because I wanted to handle my depression myself. It didn't work. You know how I handled my depress, my depression. I poured a depressant on it called alcohol. That's not going to work. That's not going to work. And I had a couple of things that were wrong. First was my lazy eye. I still have a lazy eye. You're not going to see it very often. It comes out when I'm really tired. You'll see it go whoop. I tried to wear a patch. And the kids didn't really make fun of me for the patch. Mm-mm. They didn't make fun of me because of the patch. They made fun of me because of the way I spoke. And I'll get to that here in a second. Jerry's saying, I used to tell myself I'm not like them. My family drank and used drugs to fit in with friends. Yeah. Or what we thought may be our friends. I don't have any friends from high school. You know what? That's not true. Steve is still talking to me. Either they've stopped talking to me, or they're dead from drinking. So, um, and even then, growing up, I didn't have much of a childhood. The last time, the last time I went trick or treating as a kid, I was 10 years old. That was the last time I went trick or treating as a kid. Because I was either grounded or I was in a group home. You married your best friend from high school. Wow. I married my high school sweetheart. I'm married to her now. Lucky that way. So I had a speech impediment growing up, and what it was is I could not say my S's. And even then I get a little paranoid when I say S. And what I used to do is I used to say it through my nose. So if I was talking about if I was calling for my brother Scott, it'd be Scott. Oh, you can. Yo, people send me weird messages. You know that yo, so it just popped up and went away. It's probably somebody on Instagram wanting to show me her boobs. Um, do you? I've never heard it. I've never caught it. Um, and I'm usually pretty good at hearing that stuff. So good on you, Paula. So yeah, I used to say my S's that way. And if you listen, remember this was the middle of 1970s, and my mom took me to the doctor, and the doctor said, she said, "Well, Miss Bates, your son's retarded." Yep, retarded. And then what they did is they put me in the special class. I'm gonna tell you something. I was bored in the regular class. And I was a year behind everybody. So I was the youngest one because I was born in September. So I was the last for everything. I was the last to get to drive. Well, none of that happened. I was locked up. When I turned 16, I was in a Rapo shelter. You guys were you guys were going to school and doing that stuff. I was running the fucking streets. So, hey, Peppy, you popped on. I didn't even see you. Good to have you. Right? And I was just always an easy kid to pick on. Yeah, I was small. I was a runt. Hey, and the thing is I'm also highly intelligent, and I have this empathy, and I've always had empathy. I can remember from way back when. I'll give you my first example of my empathy that I can remember. Okay. I was 4 or 5. I remember doing this. It was December 4th. I know this because it was my mother's birthday. And my father had just gotten done telling me that mommy was not getting a birthday cake this year. And Dion got very mad. I got mad. And I yelled at my dad. And I said, "Why is she not getting a birthday cake? It's her birthday." "No, she's just not getting a cake this year." So I went to my room, I packed my bags, and I ran away. I ran away. I'm like, if you're going to treat my mom that way, then I'm going to fuck out of here. I'm serious. I felt bad for my mom because I thought, well, if I didn't have cake on my birthday, I would feel horrible. And I don't want my mommy to feel that way. And I ended up at a neighbor's house. To me, it felt like I walked for 20 miles, but really I probably went 100 feet. There was this park behind us, and I went across the park, and turned out I don't remember her, but she knew who I was, um and stuff. Right. Right. Okay, but I was doing this at 5. We'll get there. Yeah. Yeah, you didn't know what to do except run. A lot of kids are on the streets because of that exact thing. That same exact thing. Um, and then of course, I would be a bedwetter until I was 11. Right? Oh, I should probably finish that story. So I did end up back home, and my mom got cake. That's right. Don't fuck with Dion's mom. Even if I'm mad at her, you don't get to fuck with my mom. No, 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 no. You don't fuck with my wife. You don't fuck with my mother. Because you will get a much different Dion than the nice one you have here. So what does this have to do? What does this have to do with all of it? Okay? The cards that were stacked against us from the time we were born. And the more and more I'm in this program, the more and more I see the need for therapy. The more I see it, the more I see need for therapy. Okay. So let's talk about addiction and mental illness before we get to recovery and mental illness. Okay. So you'll probably notice this in the past where sometimes you'll go somewhere and the alcoholics and the crazies are put together. I'm right on this because I've been there. I've worked there. Sorry, you guys, you're not interrupting me. It's just I'm very empathic today. So what you're writing hurts. Don't stop. Jerry says I was left with the keys to the car, money for a month when I was 15 years old. What do you think I did? Well, you threw the biggest rager that anybody probably ever seen in a while. That's gonna be my guess. That's gonna be my guess, and I'm probably wrong. All right. Kathy is saying I dislike the label society has used on us. You know what? I agree with that. Mental illness, I'm okay with. I'm all right with that. Okay. The one I don't like is substance use disorder. Okay. Now I have a disorder. I have a disease or a disorder. What do I have? It's going to confuse people. But see, SAMHSA wanted to come up with something because they just didn't have anything to say over their heads yet. And now they do. I'm going to tell you, while I'm at work, I never use it, ever. And I've actually had some people say, we're supposed to use it. I'm like, there's no fucking law that says I have to use that. SAMHSA says you have to use it. I'm not employed by SAMHSA. I will never, ever do that. No, unless they change their shit. Okay. But SAMHSA has not done anything good in years. Years. Not for Colorado anyway. Um, so let's get back to that addiction and mental illness. Okay. So the reason that we get lumped together is because addiction looks just like mental illness. The only difference is the alcohol. That's about the only difference. And being very, very selfish. Okay. Um, we're always demanding things. We want this, we want that. And we clamor for it because we think it's going to make us feel better, and and honestly, we really don't know. Okay? So if you are having problems, and I mean problems, let me reiterate that. I had a problem that I've been trying to work on for years, and my 4-step worked great for everything else, but it did not work on this problem because it wasn't a resentment. It wasn't a resentment. It was trauma. Trauma is different from a resentment. A resentment is a feeling that you have built towards somebody because of something that has happened. Okay. Um, and then I forgot what I was talking about. So, trouble every night, put myself in dangerous situations and didn't have a clue how stupid I was. I had the world by the tail. So I thought, yeah, my parents went away to Mexico for 3 days, and I threw a party. I was what, 14, 15? I was 15. And I threw a party at their house because I wasn't in a group home at the time, which was kind of weird. And it was huge. There were cars parked down the street. The neighbors came over. There were like 10 Harleys parked right in front of the house. And the cops never got called. This went on for 2.5 days of partying. Oh, I didn't go back to the house after that. I guarantee it. So, when you already feel like you don't belong and people start to reiterate that you don't, it takes an effect on us. It does. Because just like just like everybody else, I want to belong. Sure I do. I want to belong. Why do you think I do this? It helps me feel like I belong, right? Notice there's some days I come on, I'm like, if there's nobody coming up, I'm not doing it. Because some days when I do this, I need other people. See, I work off of people. So, um, okay. So the resentment and the illness, right? So what I was getting an intrusive thought in my head. And what it was saying is, Dion, this is happening right now. It's happening right now. You must do something about it right now, even though nothing was happening. Okay. So what happens is we get this trauma, and it ends up going to a portion of the right happening right now portion of our brain. Right. And what you have to do is you have to learn how to say that is not happening right now. It's a memory. Well, memory's over here. So whoop, I move it over. right? That was the problem with this thing. Okay. And it wasn't even really that situation. It's just that that situation looked a lot like all the other situations that came before it. So it was triggering me. Okay. Here's the problem. You have got to be off the hooch, the pills, all of it in order to get a good assessment. Okay. 6 months. You should wait 6 months. So let's say you're newer in sobriety and you're thinking, well, maybe what I would do, I would set an assessment now because it's going to be 3-4 months before you're in there to get your assessment. If you wait till you're ready, then by the time they're ready, you ain't going to be ready no more, or you will have moved on. Okay. So sometimes we see other people in meetings and they don't act appropriately or what we deem appropriate, right? Personally, I when it comes to meetings, I give a lot of levity, okay? Because what if we have somebody with 2 days that just needs to fucking cry for 10 minutes and then this fucking happened. If they need it, why not? Because you don't want to listen to it? Well, then mute them and take your earphones out. You're not required to listen, right? Go pluck and play tiddlywinks or something. Oh, uh, so I give a lot of levity to people in meetings because for some people, it's all they have right now. It's all that they have. And so I'm going to tell you something. Um, and this has been my experience, and this is what I see. The people that do 12 steps and go into therapy, those are the people that usually make it. Because even even at the end of the book it says we realize we know only a little, more will be disclosed to you and to us, and there has been. It's called PTSD, ADHD, OCD, with all these different things, right? Okay. Now I was talking to my therapist earlier and I told her we couldn't get the assessment for the ADHD. And she's like, and people keep bringing up drugs and it pissing me off. When I went for it and I logged off, do not use Mile High Psychiatry. Okay. They lied to me. I'm not going to tell you how. Doesn't matter. I just don't recommend them. Okay. But even then, that therapist, well, I can get you scripts. I'm like, I'm not asking for scripts. Why is everybody shoving drugs down me? I haven't even asked. When in my chart you call me a pill seeker. Come on. So I was talking to my therapist and she brought it up a couple of times. I'm like, whoa, whoa. I don't even know if I have ADHD yet. So I'm not going to take shit for it. Period. I'm not. Not until I know that because for me, there's nothing really wrong. And we're thinking ADHD and stuff because of my dreams. The police are after me in my dreams because I killed a couple people. I got tired of them fucking with me, and I decided one night I'm gonna go bed. Whoever screws with me in my dreams, I'm gonna kill him. I know it sounds very weird, but Jerry says we are insecure within ourselves. Our families reinforced it. Must not be worthy if our parents don't care or treat us like we are worthy. Trust issues galore, insecurities over who, what, why, and why we are even born. Yep. There's been some things that people have told me that their parents have said to them. I'm just like, wow. My parents they didn't really cut me down. My dad did. And then I started talking back. Right. One time I talked back, I got hit for it. I just didn't think he was always right. And I told him when I felt like he was wrong. It's not like, you know, but, here's the thing. He had a major anger problem, and I had just been put away for a year for my anger problem. I'm going to tell you, I knew a lot more at 15 than he did at his age then. I knew a lot more. Paula's got something to say. Oh my God. Oh my God. There's my worst Paula impression ever. I have been in a very similar situation recently and got profusely ill taking my first dose of meds that they were trying to help me with. See, that's what I'm avoiding. I was so sick last week in myself from taking one dose. I truly believe God is directing me in a different direction. I I agree. I agree with you. You know, um, I finally explained to my therapist. I said I'm the type of person. Yeah, I'm like kind of like a cold. I don't take a cold medicine unless I know I have a cold, right? But there's so many people that clamor for. What are you going to do? Test? You're going to test it? Okay, I'm not going to be a tester. Okay. Well, it works with these people. That's great. Let's get an assessment. I'd rather wait for the assessment than you just handing me pills. I don't want more pills. In fact, even if I do have ADHD, I don't know that I'm going to take any more pills. I don't know. I need to talk to my doctor about it because he knows me very, very well, right? And he understands the physical implications of that. And he's very astute about it, right? So let's get into recovery and mental illness right here. Let's see what Paul has to say first. Excuse me. And depression and anxiety can be situational and circumstantial. We don't always have to treat it with medication, correct? A lot of times my anxiety pops up and I don't use medication for it. I go help another person. I sit down behind my drums. I go for a walk. I do something else first. Okay. I am on some meds. I'm on Cymbalta. Okay. But if you are taking meds and not going to therapy, take your pills and toss them. Don't do that. Okay. But you know what I mean. There's no, if you're not planning on doing the work, then why are you taking the pills? Not to say that we shouldn't treat it because I've been treated with meds and they have worked it sometimes, but at this time in my life, I don't think that's what I should be doing. And that's exactly it. Right. And here Jerry's putting it on. She's getting hitting it. Let's put a band-aid on instead of dealing with the problem. Well, I feel this way. Here's some drugs. No wonder. No wonder we got a problem. Drugs aren't the cure. I'm saying you, Cymbalta makes it so I can deal with my problems. Right. But I want to talk about those people that disrupt. I was one of them. Sometimes it's hard for me to keep my mouth shut, right? A lot of times these people are peppy, but they go like this, and it's hard. After a while, it can be hard to watch them every day to I'm going to tell you if that person catches on to what you're doing, you're going to have a long timer on your hands. Right? Um, Everybody here already knows this about me, but I kind of enjoy saying it. I'm an alcoholic. I have, and it's not regular depression. I have severe depression, acute anxiety, and complex PTSD. It can never just be the regular. It's always got to be the extra. Dion has extreme depression, right? Remember all the extreme shows? But I'm a free man. I'm a free fucking man to walk and talk and do whatever it is that I feel like. And if I didn't tell you, you wouldn't know. You wouldn't know. But the thing is, I'm so open about it. And I meet so many people with the same problems as me that everybody kind of knows. Hell, at one point, Lori comes on every now and again. I love Lori. She's one of my accountability buddies, where if I go off kilter on Facebook, ring, ring, she'll call me. Oh, what did she say to me once? It was hilarious. She said several things to me. But anyway, I want to see what Paula was saying here. Exactly. It's not comfortable and it doesn't feel good, but it is one of those things that may pass once my stress level comes down and I decompress. Yeah, sometimes delayed gratification is all we need, right? You know what? I can work through this for another 5 minutes. I can do 10 minutes. That's not a problem, right? And we can break that down. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to go ahead and bitch about this for 15 minutes and then I'm done. You know, giving indicators is always good. That one works well for me because you're allowed to be, and don't make it 15 minutes. That you can't yell and scream for 15 minutes, right? Okay. Just don't. 5 minutes. So, all right. Um, I'm not trying to be vague, but you don't know. I'll need to know the details either. Yeah. No, there's nothing wrong with being vague. Uh-uh. If you're not comfortable sharing that, you don't need to. It's not required. Um, And then Jerry had said, we're all terminally unique. We have lots of issues. uh, Paula, at this point in my life, in this program, almost 8 years sober, I feel like I'm just getting that. You know, I, we all learn at different levels for different things. And just because I know something that looks a little bit more advanced, um, okay, all right. I don't need to be in that conversation then. And I guess what I'm trying to say is and Jerry was telling us we're all sick. We all need therapy. Every single one of us do. Right? There's no way you went through all of that without any trauma. Let's sit down and do your 4-step. I guarantee you. If you have a hard time with the 4-step, you might need a therapist. I wanted to do like a whole thing like Jeff Foxworthy does, except alcoholics. Like, if you find your wallet in the freezer, you might be an alcoholic. And just that's actually happened to me. If you wake up in your neighbor's tub, you might be an alcoholic. I'm gonna tell one more funny story and I'm gonna wrap up. I haven't told this story in a long time. It's a drinking story. So when I lived out in California, I had this roommate. He was a cool guy. He was a really cool, big old biker dude with a heart of gold. You know the type of guy I'm talking about. Really cool. And we some of his friends came over and we headed down to the bar and got good and drunk and I wanted to go back home and smoke some weed. So I left and wound down and went to bed. And I'm sleeping, right? And I wake up and there's somebody spooning me. I'm like, what in the fuck is going on here? And my thought was, you know what? Because they're pranksters. They're pranksters, right? So, so So I reached by, and I'm thinking, they got some girl to mess with me or whatever, come crawl into bed and fuck with me. I reached behind me. I'm like, this is a pretty big girl. Wait a minute here. This girl's got some pretty hairy legs. I jump out of bed, and so does my roommate. He gotten so drunk he came and joined me in bed. And he was just standing there going, "Where the fuck am I?" I woke up and he left a couple of aspirin um, on my dresser with he made a little sign that said, "Here's some morning after pills." And oh man, that one was funny. All right. If you can't find your car, phone, or clothes, you might have a little problem. You might have a drinking problem. That's what we could use instead. You might be an alcoholic. No, that kind of that rolls off better. You might you might have a problem. I like alcoholic is. So, all right, that's it. Thank you everybody for being here and participating. I really enjoyed the participation. That was a lot of fun. So, Paula, I can give you a call tomorrow if that works for you. Send me a text message, honey. All right. I love you guys. Peace out and